Gamers, let me tell you about the Trails series. Now, you may have already heard me talk about the Trails series. I did a whole video back in the day on Sky 1 and 2. I say back in the day, well, it was only a few months ago, but I recorded that video back in like December of 2022, so it's been a while. And just the other day, I finished Trails of Cold Steel for the first time. It was an absolutely phenomenal experience. When I finished Sky the Second, I wasn't so sure about the series, so I decided to watch recaps of Sky the Third and the Crossbell games. I'm glad I did this because at this time, I don't know if I could really pick up what those games were putting down. And then I ended up playing through the entire Xenoblade series, which really was what I was looking for at the time. But after that, I was ready to come back to Trails, and since I'd already watched a few, I had to go right into the Erebonia arc. And it helps, too, that I could play it right here on my trusty PS Vita. I am such a huge fan of the Vita. I've played it since 2014. I absolutely have had amazing experiences on this thing. Persona 4 Golden, the Danganronpa series, Zero Escape 999, and a plethora of other games, some of which I didn't even finish. But if you don't know, Trails is an extremely long series with soon to be 13 main entries, and they are all contiguous. There is a dedication to continuity throughout all of these games. It is a whole big overarching story across 13 fully length JRPGs. Trust me, they're long. And hey, I know to some people that sounds terrible, to some people that sounds extremely overwhelming, and to some other people that sounds like peak. And let me tell you, Cold Steel was some real peak. So, I liked the Sky games. I thought they were okay. The two that I played, I would give a 6 out of 10. A respectable rating. I don't think I would go back to them. I appreciate that I played them, but I didn't love them. But I loved Trails of Cold Steel. Coming into the Erebonia arc right off of Crossbell, we have a lot of stuff that's built up already. If you're a player who has played every single game up to this point, you're gonna have a lot of world building and context going into this one. But it isn't actually necessary. Trails of Cold Steel is one of the very few entry points for the series. Pretty much just Sky the First Chapter, Cold Steel 1, and the newly to be released Trails into Daybreak are the only introductory chapters to the series. Even though Trails from Zero is technically the beginning of a whole new arc, it is absolutely a sequel to the Sky series and can't really be enjoyed on its own. But not Cold Steel. For one whole game, that is. Afterwards, you're gonna have to go back and read the lore, but hey, the first game is an amazing introduction to this world. It is set in Thor's military academy, so our protagonists are all students. They're learning this shit along with us. They're pretty new to this world, and if you are too, they will be a great guide on your journey. As mentioned before, I personally picked out the PlayStation 3 version because it has cross-save with the PlayStation Vita version. Although it is lacking in a few features present in the PlayStation 4 and PC versions. Don't ask me about the Switch version, it's Japan only, I don't know anything about it. But man, I really love the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Vita. Playing a game on there, especially if it's from the early 2010s, is really gonna hit me in my nostalgia. And what a game to play. Like I said, I enjoyed the other ones, but I wasn't too hot on them. I had a lot of issues with the writing. Sometimes they just talk about some weird stuff and it just wasn't that cool. They had super high highs, but a lot of the games were pretty slow paced and honestly pretty boring. Now, I'm not gonna say that Cold Steel can't be boring, yeah, it's still Trails, but I think they really stepped up the writing, especially at this point. Throughout the entire series, the writing is constantly getting better, but in this game, it just really hit me. The character writing was superb. From the first moments when we are introduced to Class 7, you really get a strong sense of character for everyone. And you can clearly see that the writers aren't falling back on tired tropes, and they're really making an effort to make nuanced characters. Now, I wouldn't accuse them of doing this in the Sky or Crossbell series, but they definitely have their moments where I would say the writing is not as high quality as I'd like it to be. Azure is really good though. And what a great group Class 7 is. I really love Rean Schwarzer as a protagonist. He kind of reminds me of my favorite protagonist, Shiro Emiya from Fate Stay Night. He's got this deep-rooted anxiety to him. He's got this inner self-hatred that keeps him from doing so much, and I can kind of relate to that in some ways. Obviously, that is more under the surface of what his character is. He strives to be the bestest, nicest guy there is, and he's so charming for that. The whole gameplay loop hinges on him accepting a bunch of tasks that either the school council or the field study council throws onto him, and he takes it all in stride. On the outside, he may look like a pretty standard light novel protagonist. Well, honestly, from the outside, the art style of this series looks a little too light novel for me, but there is definitely a lot of depth to the entire cast. My favorite was definitely Emma. She had so much intrigue, introducing genuine magic to the series for the first time, as far as I'm aware, whereas previous, the magic system was all orbs / funny fruit gummies. And I love the orbs. I'm a big fan of the orbs. I've loved orbs since Final Fantasy VII. Not only will you fall in love with your characters through the story, you will definitely fall in love with customizing them, because there is always so much you can do with Trails. The orbment system is vast, expansive, and you can get so much out of it. I'm sure there's build guides, but I never really used any of those. I just kind of built my characters and used the orbs that I found. By the end, when you get super OP, it really feels like you were integral in making your characters that powerful. You didn't just grind or level up, you built integral pieces of their moveset. And let me tell you, by the end of my game, Emma was extremely OP. She had all the heals, she had a magic shield, she had a physical shield, she had a mass revive. Now, I built up Elliot as well, but I didn't like him as much as a character, so I didn't use him all that much when I didn't have to. Everyone on Class 7 is really well written, and I'm sure everyone has their own favorite, but I gotta say, I don't really care for Machias or Elliot that much. Sure, I get them, I get their characters, we spent a lot of good time with them, but man, everyone else is just so much more interesting. Like when Laura and Fee are having their whole character development standoff, and then Elliot, Machias, and Reen are just standing off to the side. They're clearly not the most important part of that picture. A lot of people see Cold Steel 1 as similar to the Persona series, and it kind of is. Like, I can see where you're coming from, but it's not exact. There's a calendar system, there's social links, basically. Honestly, they're more like supports from Fire Emblem, and you partake in a lot of school life activities. But very unlike Persona, every month you will be going on a field study to see a different part of the great nation of Arabonia. These are so great for world building because you really just get to sit and exist in other parts of this country, see how they differ, see how they're similar, and see how the government shady turmoil and tensions between other nations are affecting everyone. Slowly but surely, this series has been really stepping up its political intrigue, and I think it is really coming to a head here. Now, I said these games were long, and they are pretty long. If you look up on how long to beat, the average main story completion time for the first game will be 60 hours, but it took me about 105 hours. Granted, I am playing on the PlayStation 3 version, so it's a bit slower, and I don't have a 4x speed up button like the Steam version has, but it all felt worth it in the end. Something I can't say for Sky's second chapter, honestly. Every little thing, the little dungeon dives you do every month, the little social events, every single field study, it all felt like it was perfectly building up to this game's conclusion. And oh my, what a conclusion it was. Spoiler section of the video. Skip forward if you don't want to be spoiled and you want to see more of these little knickknacks I got here. Holy shit. I don't even know where I start with this ending. The whole final chapter was phenomenal. Prologue, pretty good. The 6 chapters that form the entire journey, pretty good. The field studies, you know, they're all really solid. I have my favorite moments. I have some least favorite moments. I got some god tier moments. But we get to the final act, and we're doing the school festival. And I'm like, okay. Nice. We're gonna hang out, we're gonna chill, we're gonna have great moments with our characters, and now that we know each other, now that we're really close, we can start developing even closer bonds. You know, at this point, there is a romance system in this game, and at this point, I chose Emma to be my girl of choice for the entire series, because as far as I'm aware, the romance element can carry over through save file and carries over even onto Trails into Reverie, which is the most recent game featuring Class 7. So it was a pretty cozy school life vibe. Yeah, sure, there's political turmoil in the background. We've seen hints, bits and bobs of inner machinations of eldritch horrors and borderline demonic powers laying rest within our main character. But I don't think I was ready. You do festival day 1. It's so fun. You get to go, you get to bring characters to different events throughout the festival. There's mini games, like, it's just such a fun, cozy vibe. And then at night, the old schoolhouse, which you've been dungeon diving in for the entire game, is lighting up and there's crazy shit going on, and you're like, well, we gotta go down there because there is one more floor that we haven't discovered yet, and there is one more issue in the old schoolhouse. And it popped off. It was fucking crazy. You go through easily the best dungeon in the game, and you fucking go into a different dimension, find literal unlimited blade works, more Fate references over here, and you fight this fucking, like, embodiment of darkness. I don't know how to describe it. I think when Tolkien described the Balrog would be how I would describe this final boss. Now, it technically isn't the final boss, but narratively, it kind of is. It's also, like, the hardest boss in the game. I tried so hard. I was using all my characters to the best of their abilities. I had all my best setup characters, all my favorites, and I just really tried. It took me like 3 attempts, but finally, I finally got it. Every single move was so important. The boss. I quickly realized that he actually doesn't cast any magic, so I just kept putting up physical shields whenever possible. I was running out of EP, I was running out of craft points, I just needed more and more. I needed to use items, I needed to use revives, and in the end, a normal attack from Emma won me the battle. Just an amazing gaming moment. And even after that, it's not done. We still have Class 7's concert, which is so dated. Like, Class 7's concert is just the most 2013 thing I've seen in a game in a really long time. All the girls have these super frilly idol outfits that are so reminiscent of the outfits that were popular in the 2010s. Granted, I don't really know my idol stuff, so I could be wrong. That could still be in now, but I feel like it's not. And the boys as well have these super stiff military-esque uniforms, which as well, I really don't know idol stuff, but it really seems like stuff that Japanese idols were so into in the 2010s, but have fallen out of today. Granted, I could be completely wrong on that. I think I'm speaking out of my ass here. But it was nice. It was cute. But afterwards, political turmoil. I don't think I can even describe to you in detail, because it's pretty complicated, but there's several factions in the Empire, and they're feuding, and Crossbell, the Annex Nation, which is the subject of the last arc of the series, is wrapped up in all that. They want their independence. Everyone else wants to capture that territory for their own. The Republic of Calvard is also a thing, which is the subject of the Daybreak series, which we'll be getting to in a million years from now. Tensions are rising, shit's going down, a very important political figure gives a speech and gets assassinated by one of our party members. So, a little ways into the game, more towards the end, the character Crow joins Class 7. Now, I believe this is after we are introduced to the Imperial Liberation Front, which is our group of baddies for the game, and their leader is known as C. So, yeah, there's a connection there. Also, we have artwork spoilers. I immediately recognize that the double-bladed staff that C uses is the same one that Crow is shown to use in all the promotional art for Cold Steel 2. So that kind of gave it away. Well, the name thing was super obvious as well. Like, the other characters in the Liberation Front are like G for Gideon, So obviously C would be for Crow. Nonetheless, it was a really cool reveal and really sets up so much drama going forward. Throughout all the games, we can tell that there is a rapid industrial evolution going. Technology is just evolving at a faster rate than we've ever seen in our own world. So we go full mech anime at the end of this game. There's mechs occupying the capital. There's a mech in the old schoolhouse at the very bottom, and we're being attacked. We know shit's going down. We know Crow is obviously up to some shady shit, and we know that he's C, but Class 7 is probably still in denial at this point. And then Trista, the town where the school is, and the town where that's basically been your home base for this entire game, is under siege as well. Now, on one side, the teachers are just popping off. Like, all of these characters we've seen little snippets of throughout the games, whether they be funny or informative or just really cool character building. They've been with us. They're our teachers. They're our guidance. We're all like 17, 18 in this game. We need them. And they clearly show that they have our backs in this scene. And it's so cool. They start completely popping off. There's this one maid character who's like the maid of well, we're in spoilers. The maid of the Reinford family reveals that she was a part of Ouroboros, the villain organization from Sky the Second, and I just don't know what to do with that information. That's insane. Also, she's so badass and absolutely had a history with Instructor Sarah, and I have a few ideas on what that could entail. Yeah, fuck. I didn't even talk about Instructor Sarah. I love Instructor Sarah. She's amazing. You know what, honestly? I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna keep it in. I like Instructor Sarah a lot. Fellas, the final boss actually wasn't the final boss. We have a new final boss. We have to fight a fucking Mechan. A Xenoblade Chronicles 1 Mechan. Not true, but Class 7 is on the other side of Trista fighting off Mecha, and we just can't do it. Granted, we were getting pretty close. We beat the first battle, we got it. We're going, we're trying our best, we're trying so hard, we're defending Trista. It's just a little too much for us. Throughout this whole game, we've been practicing together, we've been living together, we've been learning all this new stuff. We've experienced so much, we've come so far, but just not far enough. We're still students, we're still kids, we're still weak. We can't do it. But then we get some crazy lore. So, throughout the game, Rin has had a lot of intrigue with these scars on his chest, with these visions he's had, with these like almost Harry Potter-esque flashes where like his scar will start hurting and he'll have like a weird flash in his mind and he like won't understand what's happening. He'll hear voices. We finally understand what that is. And the fucking mech from the bottom of the old schoolhouse starts rocketing up through all the floors, through everything we've explored previously. This whole dungeon we've delved for the entire game. It was all leading up to this, and he's just like, he's riding the elevator, he's going up, and he lands, and we start piloting, and it's fucking, he summons Valimar, the Ashen Knight, and it was such a huge moment. Huge moment. And of course, Crow comes back to be our final boss. And we get introduced to the mech combat, and it's very cool. It's simplified from the main combat, because it has to be. But I really like it. I'm really a fan of it. It got me so hyped. And then your final battle with Crow, like his battle theme, there's a lot of drama going on. It's a lot of emotional baggage going on. Rin and Crow have gotten pretty close. They've gotten close enough to be one of the best ships in the entire series. And it's so heartbreaking seeing Rin's reaction to him realizing what Crow is, what Crow has become, what Crow has chosen for himself. He's left Class 7. He's chosen the path of an outlaw. In a world where all of the authority figures seem to have your worst interest in mind, where as a young kid, you feel powerless, like there's nothing you can do, and the world is just going to keep getting worse. You know, it feels pretty real. Having someone that you cared so much for betray you like that is heartbreaking. And you see Reen's heartbreak. Not only in his battle with Crow, but afterwards. So, we beat him the first time, but he's had these powers for a while. He knows what he's doing. He's way more experienced than us, and we just can't beat him. Even with the full power of Class 7 behind us, he's just too much for us. And everyone that we've been defending, the entire Class 7, stands up for us in our hour of defeat. And they send Reen off. He has to go. He has to survive and regroup and be the sole liberator of Erebonia. Even before this game, we've seen the two major factions of Erebonia that have been causing quite a stir. And now, they're probably gonna fuck everything up. But Class 7, among with many important characters and even returning characters from the Sky and Crossbell series, are forming a third pillar. A third pillar that could bring this nation, and more nations as well, into a brighter future. And the entire Class 7 forces us to go join them at this moment. And whichever character you have the highest link with and you chose to dance with at the end of the school festival will be right beside you at this moment. So for me, it was Emma. And it made me feel a lot of things. But just the way they send him off like that. Like, he's still in the mech, they have him rocketing off, and they're like, you have to go, dude. You have to be the guy to lead the third pillar. And we're gonna stand here and try to fight Crow and this other bitch, and we're probably gonna die. Okay, we know they don't die, obviously they're all on the cover of the second game. But it was so heart-wrenching. It also kind of deconstructed this trope that I love, where you're like, okay, there's really important stuff going on, we have to get from here to here, and we're gonna like rocket off, like whether it's mechs or airships or whatever, or just by foot. There's always a moment in like a big fantasy series where they're like, we gotta make it over there, and they have like this big moment where they're traveling. It was like a deconstruction of that. It was like, he's going because he has to, but he's leaving all of his friends behind, and it's so heartbreaking. And it just hard cuts after that. There's no like post credits or even like a little like, it seems things are very interesting. He's just leaving, and the game ends. And that's where we cut off. And man, it was peak. It was just, I'm losing it. I am finally seeing Falcom's vision for this series. Before, I understood and appreciated how the games were made, how they were written, and the chronology of it all. But now, I understand the long game. I see that they're cooking. I see how they're doing it. And I'm way more into it now. At first, especially in Sky the Second Chapter, I felt like it was dragging its feet. I felt like it was way too bloated. And I felt like the best moments were few and far between. Even though the ending of that game was pretty great, or the back half rather, the actual ending of it left me kind of cold. But now I understand what they're doing. They're really building up a multi-layered narrative throughout so many games. And every game, it's kind of just one big game. It's kind of like sequels to it's kind of like individual seasons of a TV show. Now, previously, I talked about how the series was similar to a novel series, and it still is, but honestly, everything as a whole feels a lot more unified now than it did when I was thinking about it back then. From this point forward, everything is going to be important. Crossbell's going to be important. Sky's going to be important. In-universe books and other tertiary spin-offs are going to be important. I imagine that doesn't let up until Reverie, which is famously the end, but also the beginning. And of course, we have a lot more coming out now, with the two Kuro games / Daybreak, and the upcoming Kai no Kiseki. But I think that's it for my rambling about Cold Steel. I'm super excited to jump into the second game, which I will do soon, but I have to finish the Somnium Files Nirvana Initiative first, because I still haven't finished it. I'm super late on that. I just need to finish it now. But hey, let's look at some goodies. So, of course, I got the PS Vita. PS Vita is awesome. Obviously, we can play Trails of Cold Steel 1 and 2 on the PS Vita. I don't actually have the physical Vita versions for those games, but maybe one day. This is the coolest part of my Trails collection, my very small Trails collection, so we'll get into that last. But right here I have a little, it's from Crossbow. I don't know which game this is, probably 0. I'm actually not sure, but I have the Gluttonous Bass as a pin. I didn't open it because I'm keeping it in this nice little case. This is a fish you can catch in Zero no Kiseki or slash Trosum Zero, and it's very funny. It's the Pog fish, and it comes with very nice artwork on the back. We got Lloyd, Tio, Dudley, and Kia. Now these are pretty cool. This is Falcom magazine. Now I bought, these are both 22 issues. I got these when I was living in Japan, and these were published right at the release of Kuru no Kiseki 2 Crimson Sin, which is now going to be called Trails Through Daybreak. So these are really cool. You get a lot of like little updates and stuff. Toa. Dude, Toa. You get to see Toa all grown up. Look at her. She's amazing. A lot of details, a lot of news, a lot of cool stuff. But also in the back, they have chapters of the Trails in the Sky manga, which is an older manga, but I guess they're like rerunning it. This thing is super interesting. The art is phenomenal. The paneling's really great. I really want to go back and read it. It might even serve as a really good introduction to people who were put off by the first game's very slow nature, because the manga looks super charming. And on that note, I feel like this whole series could work so well as an anime if they really gave it the due diligence, which sadly they haven't. The series does have a few anime adaptations or side stories and the like, but they're not really what we're looking for. Some little nice knickknacks, standees, a water bottle, cat, some QR code if you want to scan that. I don't know what that leads to. Maybe I should have tried to do that before. Some little 4-panel comics. These are always a lot of fun. And these are nothing new to Trails. I've seen a lot of them over the years. Ooh, we got a Rixia figure from Kotobukiya. Now that looks sweet. And we've got, oh, I'm sure you've seen this art before if you're a fan of Kuro. But look at that. Very nice. The 1-year anniversary, Kuro no Kiseki. And we have another chapter of the Sky manga. We've got Olivier / Olivert, everyone's favorite. Oh yeah, this was also around the time they were re-releasing Nayuta as well. So, you might have been wondering what this is. This is the original limited edition of Trails in the Sky first chapter for PC. This is old as hell, but it's so cool. Now, I'll do some B-roll for this as well, so you can get a better look at it. Now, of course, we start off with a gorgeous box of this very iconic art of Estelle here. And as you can see, this is back when it was called Legend of Heroes 6, before they dropped the numbers and just did Trails for the rest of time. We've got some very nice character art on the back, as well as a little diorama, the city, and some nice screenshots, and a lot of Japanese text that I don't want to put in the effort of reading. But the main box that houses everything else is over here. Now, I think this is my favorite art from the Sky series. I just absolutely love this cover art. I believe this was used for the English PSP release. I just really like how you can't really see their faces, and they're just, you know, they're looking up at the sky. It gives me a big sense of adventure and the journey. It's also not tacky at all. It's like, it's so tasteful and intriguing. So this is the main game, I believe. This is how you could play Trails in the Sky in 2004. You gotta put that in your disk drive, which you might not even have anymore. And we get 2 whole soundtrack CDs.
2 or 3. Oh, this is the game disc. So what the hell is this? So as you can see, this is clearly says game disc. So you put this in your little... look into it further. Less vocal version? Oh, okay. So it seems like this is a single CD that houses like the main vocal theme as well as the instrumental version of the same theme. And then this is a super arranged version. Typically, I believe that is like a composition of the main tracks in the game, but done all with... And we have the unused music. So that's really cool. Like, this is just in the special edition. I think that's so cool. Like, they absolutely went above and beyond with the special edition. Like, you just include a whole album of unused music from this game. It's very interesting. I'll have to go through and listen to this. Maybe there's some tracks in here that are used later, or some motifs that are used later. I don't know. That could be very interesting. We have a little Japanese thing. Let's see, what is this? Is this something you send to Falcom to, like, buy something else? I'm not sure. But I believe as well we have a instruction, a playing manual guidebook. So, like, this one's not full color. This one's just, like, kind of brown. But it's really cool, you know? I believe this is, like, all gameplay mechanics and stuff. But then, as well, we have the visual and material guide, which is a full book, and it's fully in color, and it has, like, tons of great art, and just tons of detail. Little comics. Like, little fucking, what was I gonna say? Some concept art and some landscapes as well. Some landscapes. Some stuff from the opening. Very, very high quality stuff. Oh, and of course Joshua in a dress. We have to see that again. Of course Joshua in a dress. We need that. We need that. Man, look at how beautiful some of this art is. So yeah, even though I can't say I'm a huge fan of specifically the Sky series, although Sky the Third is banging, and I will be playing it soon for myself. Watching it was already awesome, so I'm gonna give it the play, and I'm gonna do Crossbell eventually, but that'll probably take me a little bit, because I plan to play through the entire series before that, probably. We'll see. But I'm very glad to own this. I haven't seen much But that's pretty much the Trails in the Sky limited edition. The coolest thing currently in my Trails collection. I do really want the Sen no Kaseki 1 through 4 plus Hajimari PlayStation 4 collection box set. That is really cool. So, that is pretty much my quick thoughts on Trails of Cold Steel and my tiny little Trails collection, my little knickknacks. So, once again, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to this channel and also the main channel. I hope to level up my content a little bit here and not do completely no effort videos. I'd also like to keep uploading here and try to get a steady schedule going, but we'll see about that. So, that's pretty much all I've got to say. Peace.